Sir, stop right there. Don't move. You were selected and you will comply.
I am complying. Please lower your voice.
Don't tell me how to do my job. What's in the bag?
Personal items and gifts. I've shown my
That doesn't
ID.
mean anything. You don't get to question
I'm asking
me.
what rule I...
TSA officer Gerald Whitmore spots a black man in the security line at Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. The man is wearing full Army combat uniform, camouflage fatigues, with unit patches clearly visible, an American flag on his shoulder, tan combat boots. His tactical backpack sits on the conveyor belt, also bearing an American flag patch. There is absolutely no ambiguity about who this man is. But Whitmore doesn't see a soldier. He sees a target. Sergeant First Class Darius Okonkwo, a 22-year Army veteran and decorated Green Beret who has served 4 combat tours, 2 in Afghanistan, 2 in Iraq, is returning home from a training exercise at Fort Benning. He's wearing the uniform of the United States Army. His credentials are stitched into his chest, and none of it matters to Whitmore. The security cameras overhead capture everything. Whitmore approaches, positions himself directly in front of the soldier, and the confrontation begins. What happens over the next 47 minutes will be recorded from 12 different security camera angles, 3 TSA body cameras, and at least 15 cell phones. It will cost the federal government $23.7 million. Gerald Whitmore, 43, has been with TSA Atlanta for 11 years. He has 34 formal complaints in his file 29 involving passengers of color. He specifically requested assignment to the main security checkpoint at the domestic terminal, where he processes over 400 passengers daily. Internal documents reveal his random selection rate for black passengers is 11 times higher than for white passengers. His supervisors call him thorough. Fellow officers have a different name for him, the collector, because he collects minorities for secondary screening like trophies. He's been reprimanded twice but never disciplined. His body camera has malfunctioned during 19 prior incidents that resulted in complaints. But today, the overhead security cameras are rolling. His colleagues' body cameras are recording, and a dozen passengers have their phones out. Whitmore has never faced a consequence in his career. That's about to change. Sergeant First Class Darius Okonkwo, 41, born on the south side of Chicago, raised by his grandmother after his mother died when he was 7, enlisted the day after his 18th birthday. 22 years of service, 4 combat deployments. Special Forces qualified a Green Beret. He's earned the Bronze Star with Valor, the Purple Heart wounded by an IED in Helmand Province, and the Combat Infantryman Badge. He's currently assigned to the 3rd Special Forces Group at Fort Bragg. He's returning from a 2-week training exercise at Fort Benning, still in uniform, because he came straight from the field to catch his flight home to see his wife, Dr. Amara Okonkwo, a cardiologist at Duke University Medical Center, and his 2 daughters, ages 8 and 12. He's wearing the uniform of the United States Army. His name is stitched on his chest, his rank is displayed on his collar, his unit patches are sewn onto his shoulders, his service is literally written on his body, and Gerald Whitmore looks at him and sees a fraud. 3:47 p.m. The security camera footage, which will later be played in federal court, shows SFC Okonkwo approaching the security checkpoint in full uniform. He places his tactical backpack on the conveyor belt. The American flag patch is clearly visible. He removes his patrol cap and places it in a bin. He's calm, professional, following every procedure. The footage shows Whitmore watching from his position near the X-ray monitors. His head tracks Okonkwo's movement through the line. He whispers something to his colleague, Officer Pamela Vance. Her body camera, which is recording, captures his words. "Watch this. Probably stole that uniform from a surplus store. These guys think they can wear whatever they want." Whitmore steps forward, directly into Okonkwo's path. The overhead camera captures the moment perfectly, the TSA officer in blue positioning himself in front of the soldier in camouflage. "Sir, you've been randomly selected for additional screening." Okonkwo's expression doesn't change. He's been through this before. "No problem, officer, but this time will be different. This time, the cameras are watching. And this time, Whitmore is about to go too far." The secondary screening area, multiple cameras recording. Whitmore stands across from Okonkwo, examining his military ID with theatrical suspicion. The body camera footage captures his words with crystal clarity. "This uniform? Where'd you get it?" "I'm in the Army, sir. I'm assigned to 3rd Special Forces Group," Whitmore snorts. "Anyone can buy this stuff online. Stolen valor is a federal crime, you know." Okonkwo's jaw tightens, but his voice remains steady. 22 years of military discipline holding. "Sir, my name is on my uniform. My rank is on my collar. My unit patch is on my shoulder. I have my military ID, my CAC card, and my travel orders. What else do you need?" Whitmore ignores the documents in his hand. "These can be faked. I've seen it before." He turns to Vance. "Run his name. Let's see if he's really who he says he is." The security camera captures what happens next. Whitmore reaches for Okonkwo's tactical backpack and begins pulling items out, tossing them onto the table. Extra uniforms, family photos, a small American flag that Okonkwo's daughter made him at school. "What's this?" Whitmore holds up a challenge coin from Okonkwo's unit. "You buy this at a pawn shop?" Okonkwo's voice drops, controlled but carrying an edge of steel. "That was given to me by my commanding officer after we extracted 12 hostages from a Taliban compound in Kunar province. 4 of my men died on that mission." Whitmore smirks. "Sure they did." What follows is captured on no fewer than 12 camera angles. The overhead security cameras, 3 TSA body cameras, and 15 cell phones from passengers who have stopped to watch a TSA officer harass a man in military uniform. Whitmore demands a full pat-down, invasive, prolonged, performed in full view of the security checkpoint. Passengers are filming openly now. Some are shouting, "He's in uniform. That's a soldier. What are you doing?" "This is wrong. Someone call a supervisor." Whitmore ignores them. He orders Okonkwo to remove his uniform jacket, his blouse, exposing the brown undershirt beneath. He demands Okonkwo remove his boots. A decorated Green Beret stands in his socks on the cold airport floor, while a TSA officer with 34 complaints rifles through his belongings. Then Whitmore finds the metal case. Inside, the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, the Combat Infantryman Badge. "These real?" Whitmore asks, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Or did you buy these on eBay too?" Okonkwo's response is quiet, controlled, and devastating. "The Purple Heart was awarded after an IED took my left kidney in Helmand Province in 2009. The scar is still on my back if you'd like to see it." Whitmore's response, captured on 3 body cameras. "That won't be necessary, but you're not going anywhere until we verify you're not impersonating military personnel." He handcuffs Sergeant First Class Darius Okonkwo, a man who has bled for his country, to a chair in the screening room. Sergeant First Class Darius Okonkwo had been handcuffed for 1 hour and 47 minutes when Atlanta PD Sergeant Keisha Lawson walked through the door. A 20-year police veteran and former Army Reserve soldier herself, she knew exactly what she was looking at. A decorated soldier in uniform, handcuffed like a criminal, his medals spread across a table like evidence. Whitmore stepped forward. "Sergeant, we have a possible stolen valor situation. This individual's documentation is suspicious." Sergeant Lawson didn't respond. She examined Okonkwo's military ID, his CAC card, his travel orders, then the metal case, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, Combat Infantryman Badge. Her voice was ice. "Officer Whitmore, his military ID is valid, his CAC card is valid, his travel orders are signed, his name is stitched on his chest. What exactly is suspicious?" "The documents could be forged." "Did you scan his CAC card? Did you call Fort Bragg? Did you do anything except handcuff a soldier and dump his medals on a table?" "Silence. Remove the handcuffs. Now." "I don't take orders from Atlanta PD." "Then let me be clear. You've detained an active duty soldier without probable cause. If you don't remove those handcuffs in 30 seconds, I'll arrest you for unlawful detention and ensure the FBI has this footage by morning." The security camera captured Whitmore's trembling hands reaching for his keys, the click of handcuffs releasing, Okonkwo rubbing the red marks on his wrists. At 6:12 p.m., 2 hours and 25 minutes after being pulled aside, Sergeant First Class Okonkwo was finally free. His flight had departed 90 minutes earlier, but the footage was already spreading, and Gerald Whitmore's career was already over. The first video hit Twitter at 6:47 p.m. Passenger Michelle Torres had recorded 4 minutes of footage showing Whitmore demanding Okonkwo remove his uniform, handling medals with disrespect, passengers shouting in protest. Her caption, "Just watched TSA handcuff a soldier in full uniform. They accused him of stolen valor. He had a Purple Heart. What is happening?" Within 3 hours, 340,000 views. By midnight, 2 million. 14 other passengers had recorded portions. Their videos flooded Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, each showing different moments of humiliation. Whitmore's sneer about the challenge coin, his eBay comment about the Purple Heart, the handcuffs clicking shut. By morning, every major network led with the footage. CNN, Fox, MSNBC, ABC. The images were devastating. A black soldier in army uniform, handcuffed and humiliated. The Pentagon statement confirmed everything. Sergeant First Class Darius Okonkwo has served with distinction for 22 years, including 4 combat deployments. He is the recipient of the Bronze Star with Valor and the Purple Heart. We are deeply troubled by this treatment. Veterans organizations mobilized furiously. VFW demanded Whitmore's termination. American Legion called for congressional investigation. Special Forces veterans flooded social media with deployment photos alongside Okonkwo. FOIA requests revealed Whitmore's 34 complaints, his racial targeting patterns, the 19 malfunctioning body cameras during prior incidents. The Secretary of Homeland Security apologized publicly. Whitmore was placed on administrative leave, but Okonkwo wanted more than apologies. He called attorney Solomon Adeyemi, former JAG prosecutor turned civil rights litigator. "I want to make sure this never happens to another soldier, whatever it takes." Adeyemi's response, "Then let's get to work." The trial began 18 months later in a packed federal courtroom. Veterans filled the gallery. Media lined up before dawn. Solomon Adeyemi's opening was devastating. "You won't take anyone's word. You'll see it from 12 camera angles with perfect audio. You'll watch a decorated Green Beret handcuffed because a TSA officer saw his skin, not his service." The evidence was overwhelming. 12 security camera angles played simultaneously. Body camera footage captured Whitmore's sneering tone, his refusal to verify credentials. "Where'd you get this uniform? These can be faked. Did you buy these on eBay?" Several jurors cried. A retired Marine was excused to compose himself. Okonkwo testified for 6 hours. He described his 22 years of service, 4 combat deployments, the brothers he'd lost. Then May 17th, the handcuffs, the medals dumped on the table. When asked how it felt hearing Whitmore question his Purple Heart, Okonkwo paused 12 seconds. "I've been shot at in 3 countries. I've held dying men. But standing in that airport, in my socks, with that man asking if I bought my Purple Heart on eBay, that was when I felt most like I didn't belong in my own country." Under cross-examination, Whitmore crumbled. "What made you approach Sergeant Okonkwo specifically?" He matched a profile. "What profile? His uniform? His ID? His race?" No answer. Adeyemi's closing, "This wasn't a mistake. Whitmore saw a black man and assumed criminal. The cameras caught everything. Send a message that echoes through every checkpoint in America." The jury deliberated 11 hours. Verdict: guilty on all counts. The damages phase lasted 1 week. Medical experts described Okonkwo's compounded PTSD panic attacks in crowds, flashbacks triggered by TSA uniforms, nightmares of being handcuffed while faceless figures laughed at his medals. Career experts calculated the professional impact: delayed promotions, security clearance reviews, medical leave, millions in damages. Adeyemi's closing: "What's it worth to be treated like a citizen in your own country? Whatever number you choose, make it large enough that the federal government never forgets." The jury deliberated 5 hours. The foreman's voice trembled reading the verdict. Compensatory damages, $12.4 million. Punitive damages, $11.3 million. Total, $23.7 million, the largest civil rights verdict against TSA in American history. The courtroom erupted. Veterans saluted. Okonkwo's wife collapsed into his arms. Whitmore was terminated within 6 hours, permanently barred from federal employment. Vance was terminated the next day. 3 supervisors were demoted. The Department of Homeland Security announced sweeping reforms: mandatory anti-bias training with annual recertification, random selection auditing by race and ethnicity, military credential verification protocols before any detention broader, body camera accountability with severe penalties for malfunctions, independent civilian oversight board, zero tolerance for unverified stolen valor accusations. The reforms were named the Okonkwo Protocols. Every TSA officer in America would learn that name and understand that bias has a price. Sergeant First Class Okonkwo kept his promise. He established the Okonkwo Veterans Defense Fund with $12 million, providing free legal representation to service members facing discrimination. Year 1, 47 cases, 39 victories, $14 million in settlements, every penny reinvested. He testified before Congress 4 times, instrumental in passing the Veterans Dignity in Travel Act, mandating real-time credential verification and prohibiting detention of uniformed personnel without supervisor approval. The president signed it at a White House ceremony, Okonkwo standing behind her in dress uniform. Sergeant Okonkwo could have walked away. Instead, he chose to fight for every service member who comes after him. That's what heroes do. 26 months after the verdict, Okonkwo received the news: promotion to Master Sergeant, the second highest enlisted rank. At Fort Liberty, his commanding general pinned the new rank on his collar, while Amara and the girls watched, tears streaming. He is everything a soldier should be, everything an American should be. Gerald Whitmore disappeared, reportedly working as a warehouse security guard in rural Alabama. He never apologized, but his name became a cautionary tale whispered in TSA break rooms nationwide. Military discrimination complaints dropped 67% under the Okonkwo Protocols. The cameras kept watching. Officers thought twice. If you think this situation was bad, wait until you see what happens in the case on the right-hand side.